Hey there, everybody. I decided to go ahead and do a second part to my Star Wars The Old Republic preview. With beta over now, and me having to spend the next 11 to 16 days without it. Horrible thought. I thought I'd go ahead and give my final thoughts on the overall beta experience itself, and talk you through the last little bit that I got to play after the last video segment. This is all going to be on my Sith Inquisitor that I had made. I believe in the last video she was level 32. I finished her off at level 40. And was, I believe, beginning the third act of the game. So, if I'm not mistaken. So, let's start off with what I did since I last talked to you guys. Basically, after Alderaan, you end your first act. I believe that's how it's going to be for all the classes, is after Alderaan, you'll end your first act story, and then you'll go into some private, class-based missions. And if it's anything like the Sith Inquisitor, you're going to bounce around a lot. I know I went from, like, the home planet Dromund Kaas, back to Korriban, back to Nar Shaddaa, backtracked through a few lower level areas, but went to new areas within them. And then that took you to the story progression. And then, and it was a long time, because I remember I was finishing that up, and I said, alright, I'm done with Alderaan, I'm going to bang out this story thing, get to Act 2, and I thought it would be a matter of, 30-45 minutes, and it was a lot of content. It was at least an hour and a half of extra content in between the two acts. So I applaud BioWare there. They did a really good job. And the story, I never was like, oh my god, I got to go back to this planet again. I wanted to keep going because the story was getting really good, and I wanted to progress further. Once I got back on track, now keep in mind the Sith Inquisitor is Imperial side, and this was what I thought was kind of strange. My next planet I visited was Taris. Now, if you're playing Republic side, you will visit Taris fairly early. I want to say it's right after Coruscant. It takes the place of Balmorra for the Empire. So you're seeing that Taris a little bit later on. It's the same map, is what I did come to realize. It is the same map as the Republic one, just it's much darker. It's more of kind of night tones throughout, and it kind of was weird going back to that planet again, because I was like, oh, I've seen it all. But the story there was pretty good from the Imperial side, because you're basically trying to undo what the Republic just did. So it's kind of funny being the dicks. And then, I'm not going to say exactly what the Sith story is. I don't want to spoil that for you. Now, after Taris, you go to a planet called Kesh. Kesh is more, while the story was kind of there for the class mission, it was very small. I think there are only 2 or 3 hits on that planet for the class mission, and then but I did finish out the actual planet mission, which is actually really cool. It's a lot of prodding at the Republic, trying to draw open warfare into the full-blown, get out of this little kind of Cold War we're in and get to the full war. After Kesh, I went to Hoth. And I remember, before I got to Hoth, just thinking, oh my god, I don't want to do this planet. It's just going to be this ugly, white planet that's going to be just boring to explore. Again, I kind of feel, since it's from the movies, I guess, Hoth to me feels, especially the Hoth battle, is really played out, I think. But I gotta say, I really, really liked Hoth. Yes, it is a big white color palette, but it's really well done. It looks really gorgeous. A good set of planetary stories, and I liked the class story that was going on that planet as well. I actually really enjoyed the planet. I didn't think I would, but it was a lot of fun. And then I finished Hoth, and I just barely scratched the surface on Belsavis, and that's where I ended at level 40. I did like 3 quests yesterday, and it was just, I realized that the beta would be ending today being Sunday. and I knew I was going to be too busy today to play, so I uninstalled the game and I called it there for beta. So let's see here. My overall thoughts. I'm impressed by what BioWare has done. There's still some minor glitches in there. They've got the next 11 to 16 days to hammer them out and get them done. You know, I really feel for the crew at BioWare, because I can only imagine that they haven't seen their houses for the last month. They must be working around the clock there, and I appreciate all the work they're doing to get that done. So thank you, BioWare, for doing what you're doing. One thing that what I had access to early in the beta, and then it was taken away. It was a really cool feature, and I hope it comes back at launch. And this was something that I think all MMOs should honestly take in. And it was an option to color match your clothing based on what your chest piece is. And let me tell you why that's so important. If you've ever played an MMO before, in the lower levels, you know that anytime you get a piece of gear that is better than what you have now, you're changing into it. What that leads to is times when you have a green chest piece, orange pants, blue gloves, you look like a clown. And I actually remember when I found this option, I didn't even know it existed. I was messing with the preferences on my Imperial Agent, and I had just gotten this headpiece that was ugly as hell. It's like a rebreather mask and like black visor shades, and it was really off from what the rest of my costume looked like. I hated it, so I went to the high headpiece option, and underneath there I saw the match option, and I was like, well, what does this do? And at the time I had like a gray chest piece and like bluish legs, something like that, and I clicked it, and all of a sudden I had this like solid kind of gray. It looked like a real Imperial outfit, and I was just like, oh man, that's cool. So I showed my headpiece again, and it matched too, so now it was kind of this gray and black color scheme, and it looked awesome. And it got taken out in the last builds of the game, and I really hope it comes back, because that was a fantastic feature. And I know it's just an aesthetic thing, but it really did, it made everything look a lot better. Again, my opinion really hasn't shifted much on this game. I cannot wait for it to come out. You know, the 20th is the official release date. I have it pre-ordered and my code entered. I did that pretty early on, so I'm hoping that I'll get the full 5-day head start. But that's about it. I just want to tell you about the couple more planets I got to see. I didn't get to see any more flashpoints. Unfortunately, the further on I got, it seemed like there were fewer and fewer people, and so I couldn't get groups together to do the end game, well, not even end game, but later game flashpoints. I would have liked to have seen them, but hopefully at launch. You know, I know the guild is up, and a few of us have been talking and trying to figure out what we're going to do, so hopefully we'll level and I'll get to see those then. But that's about it. I hope to see everybody in the game again. If you want any information on the guild I'm in for the Empire side, hit me up on Facebook. I'd be glad to share you the link and get you in. Alright, that's about it. Have a good night, everybody. Deuces.